I thought our anniversary dinner would remind me why I had spent 6 years fighting for our future. I sat across from Victoria beneath the warm lights of the restaurant, watching her smile at three executives from Carter Global. I had helped build that company from a small office with 2 desks. I had worked weekends, skipped vacations, and accepted a salary that barely changed because I believed every sacrifice belonged to our marriage. Victoria lifted her glass. "To another successful year," she said. I smiled. "To us." She looked at me. "Speaking of success, did your new paycheck finally come through?" I felt my shoulders tighten. "Yes." "How much?" I hesitated. "The same as before." Her smile disappeared for a second. Then she laughed. "You're serious?" "I am." One of the executives chuckled awkwardly. Victoria leaned back. "Ethan, you have worked in finance for years. How can you still earn that little?" "I know it isn't much." "It isn't much at all." I lowered my eyes. "I am working on it." "You're working on it?" She laughed again. "For a man married to a CEO, you earn embarrassingly little." Heat rushed into my face. "Victoria," I whispered, "not here." "Why not?" "It's the truth." I forced a smile. "Can we talk about this later?" "She's not wrong," Daniel said. "You should aim higher, Ethan." I looked at him. "I didn't ask for your opinion." He shrugged. "I'm just being honest." Victoria smiled at him. "See? Daniel understands ambition." I swallowed the anger rising in my throat. "I've supported your ambition for years. And I appreciate that," she said. "Do you?" Her expression hardened. "Don't make this emotional. I am your husband. And I am your wife, not your excuse for staying average." The words hit harder than I expected. I stared at my plate. Daniel cleared his throat. "Maybe this conversation should wait." Victoria shook her head. "No, Ethan needs to hear it." I looked at her. "Hear what?" "You've become comfortable." "Comfortable?" "Yes. You have a decent job, a decent salary, and a successful wife. You stopped trying to become more." I laughed quietly. Oh, nothing felt funny. "I stopped trying because I was helping you. I never asked you to sacrifice yourself. You didn't have to. I loved you." For the first time that evening, Victoria said nothing. I finished dinner without another argument. On the drive home, silence filled the car. When we entered our house, I finally stopped pretending. "Do you really think I'm a burden?" Victoria removed her earrings. "I think you become someone I no longer recognize." I stared at her. "Because I don't make as much money as you. Because you don't have the drive I have. I built financial systems that kept your company alive. And I turned those systems into a billion-dollar business." My chest tightened. "So that's what I am now? Someone beneath you." She sighed. "Ethan, I have outgrown you." I felt something inside me crack. "Then why did you marry me?" "I loved you." Past tense. She looked away. I walked into my study before she could answer. I opened my laptop, needing something solid to hold on to. An email notification appeared. The subject read, "Executive Restructuring Discussion." My hands went cold. I opened it. Victoria had written to Daniel earlier that week. "Ethan's role needs to disappear. We need a cleaner structure." I read the next line twice. Daniel had replied, "Once Ethan is gone, everything will finally belong where it should." I closed my eyes and remembered every night I had stayed beside her after everyone else left the office. "I believe we were partners," I said to myself. I remembered bringing her coffee before meetings, checking contracts at midnight, and telling her, "We'll make this work." Back then, she had kissed my forehead and promised, "We'll build everything together." Now, those memories felt like evidence against me. I wanted to confront her immediately, but another thought stopped me. What if the email was only the beginning? What if she had already decided that our marriage, my career, and my place beside her were problems to be removed? I opened the message again and read every word slowly. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then I whispered, "So this was never just about my salary." And for the first time, I wondered whether my wife had been planning my exit long before she laughed at me tonight. I barely slept. The email from Daniel kept returning to my mind. "Once Ethan is gone." By 6 in the morning, I was in my study, staring at the company reports. "What are you hiding, Victoria?" I whispered. I opened our quarterly numbers and compared them with the previous year. Several expenses had changed. Contracts had been moved. Two large consulting payments had appeared under Daniel's department. That makes no sense. I checked the approval records. My name was attached to one payment. I never approved this. I checked another, then another. Someone had used my authority without asking me. For a moment, I remembered our first office. Victoria and I had worked from a room so small that our desks nearly touched. I handled budgets and contracts while she chased clients and built relationships. She had once told me, "Ethan, I couldn't do this without you." I had believed her. My phone rang. "Mason, coffee?" he asked. "I need to talk." "That sounds serious." "It is." 40 minutes later, I sat across from my best friend in a quiet cafe. Mason studied my face. "What happened?" I handed him my phone. He read the email and looked up. "She wants you gone?" "I think so." "You think so?" "I found other things in the financial reports." "What things?" "Payments I never approved. Decisions made using my name." Mason leaned forward. "And you're still defending her?" I looked away. "She is my wife." "That doesn't answer me." "I love her." Mason shook his head. "Ethan, loving someone doesn't mean letting them humiliate you. She wasn't always like this. People change. She built that company with me." "No," Mason said. "You helped build it with her. There is a difference." I stared at my coffee. "I don't want revenge." "Good. I just want to understand what happened." Mason sighed. "Then understand this first. You keep making excuses for someone who stopped making excuses for hurting you." His words stayed with me. After coffee, I returned to the office and asked Olivia Bennett from HR to meet me privately. She closed the door behind her. "You read the restructuring email, didn't you?" I froze. "How do you know about that?" "I've heard enough." "What is Daniel doing?" Olivia lowered her voice. "He has been pushing Victoria to change the executive structure for months." "What?" "He says the company needs stronger leadership." I almost laughed. "And that means removing me?" "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." She looked uncomfortable. "Ethan, Daniel has questioned your authority in several meetings." "Why didn't anyone tell me?" "Because Victoria supported him." I felt my stomach tighten. "Supported him against me?" Olivia nodded slowly. "I think you need to be careful." "About what?" "Your access. Your documents. Your approvals." I understood immediately. If someone is weakening my authority, they could blame me for mistakes later. "Exactly." I leaned back. "So this is bigger than my salary." Olivia said nothing. That silence answered me. That evening, Victoria waited for me at home. "We need to talk," she said. "I know." She folded her arms. "I want you to move into a lower position." "What position?" "Senior financial consultant." "And who takes my responsibilities?" "Daniel." I stared at her. "You already decided." "Yes." "Without asking me." "This is a business decision." "No. It's a decision about removing me." "Don't make everything personal." "You made my marriage personal when you mocked my salary." Her expression hardened. "You're being emotional again. And you're being honest for the first time." She stepped closer. "Accept the position, Ethan." "No." "Think carefully." "I have. If you fight me, I can make your career very difficult." I felt my anger disappear. Not because I was afraid, because I finally understood. "You don't want a husband beside you," I said. "You want an employee beneath you." Victoria's face went cold. "Don't push me." "I won't." I walked away. The next morning, Olivia stopped me before I entered the office. "Ethan, what is it?" She glanced around, then slipped a sealed document into my hand. "Don't open it here." I stared at her. "What is this?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You need to see what Daniel has been hiding." I looked down at the envelope. For the first time, I wondered whether my resignation was not the end of the betrayal, but the beginning of the truth. I looked at Olivia. "Can I trust you?" She hesitated. "I wouldn't be giving you this if I thought you couldn't." "What happens if the document proves what I suspect?" "Then don't confront anyone yet." "Why?" "Because once they know you have evidence, they will stop making mistakes." I slipped the envelope inside. "Then I'll wait." Olivia nodded. "Be ready, Ethan. Whatever is inside may change everything." I locked my office door before opening Olivia's envelope. The first page showed a financial report dated 3 months earlier. I stared at the approval line. My signature. I turned the page. Another report. Another signature. Another decision I had never approved. What the hell? Payments have been authorized, contracts changed, and millions moved between accounts. Mine was the name attached to the approvals. Someone had built a trail that could make me responsible for every loss. I called Olivia. "You were right," I said. "About what?" "Someone is creating evidence against me." She went silent. "How bad?" "Bad enough that I could be blamed for decisions I never made." "Then don't confront Daniel alone." "I won't." I ended the call and walked toward Victoria's office. Daniel was already inside with her. Victoria looked up. "Why are you here?" I placed the documents on her desk. "Because I found these." Daniel glanced at them. "You finally reviewed the reports?" "I reviewed them. I didn't approve them." He picked up one page. "Your signature is right here." "That isn't my signature." Daniel smiled. "Ethan, you've been under pressure lately. Maybe you forgot." "I don't forget signing financial approvals worth millions." Victoria sighed. "Can we not turn this into another argument?" I looked at her. "Another argument? You've been accusing everyone since yesterday." "Because someone used my name." Daniel leaned back. "You should be more careful with your records." I stepped closer. "I was careful. That's why I know these are fake." His expression barely changed. "You're making a serious accusation." "I know exactly what I'm accusing you of." Victoria stood. "Enough." I turned toward her. "Tell me you believe me." She didn't answer. "Victoria, look at me." She finally did. "Ethan, whether you sign these documents or not, this situation is becoming embarrassing." My chest tightened. "Embarrassing?" "Yes." "So you think I'm a problem?" "I think you should resign before this gets worse." I stared at my wife. "Do you really want me gone?" She folded her arms. "Yes." "Why?" "Because I want a husband who matches the life I built." I laughed once. Not because it was funny, because something inside me had finally stopped fighting. "I spent years helping you build that life, and I'm grateful." "No, you're not." Victoria looked away. "You've outgrown me, haven't you?" I've moved forward, and I'm holding you back? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Daniel cleared his throat. "If I were you, Ethan, I'd accept the resignation and leave quietly." I looked at him. "You wanted my position for a long time." He smiled. "I want what's best for the company." "No, you want what's mine." Victoria interrupted. "Ethan, this isn't helping." I reached into my briefcase and removed a folded letter. "Actually, it is." I placed it on her desk. Her eyes widened. "What is that?" "My resignation." Daniel smiled. Victoria slowly picked it up. "You already prepared this?" "I prepared it this morning." She looked relieved. "I think you're making the right decision." I nodded. "For once, I'm choosing myself." Daniel laughed softly. "You'll regret this." I looked directly at him. "Maybe, but I won't regret leaving a place where I have to beg for respect." Victoria's smile returned. "You're really leaving?" she said. "Yes. Without fighting. I've spent enough years fighting for someone who wanted me to lose." "Ethan." I shook my head. "Don't." "What do you mean?" "I don't want another speech about ambition, money, or how much I've failed you." "That isn't what I was going to say." "Then save it." I turned toward the door. Victoria called after me. "You're making a mistake." I stopped. "No. My mistake was believing my worth depended on your approval." Daniel said, "You'll never find another company like this." I looked back. Good. I walked toward the hallway, then stopped and faced Victoria one final time. "One day, the truth about these numbers will come out." Her face hardened. "You're threatening me?" "No." I shook my head. "I'm warning you." I walked away before she could answer. For the first time, I didn't feel defeated. I had expected anger to consume me, but the silence inside my heart felt stronger than anger ever could. I reached the elevator and pressed the button. The doors opened. Before I stepped inside, a voice stopped me. "Ethan." I turned. Richard Hayes, one of our largest investors, stood nearby. "Don't leave yet," he said. I stared at him. "Why?" He walked toward me. "Because I need to talk to you." The elevator doors began closing behind me. I stepped back. "What about?" Richard lowered his voice. "About what really happened inside this company." My heart started pounding. I looked toward Victoria's office, then back at Richard. "Tell me everything." I followed Richard into a private conference room and closed the door. He pointed to a chair. "Sit down, Ethan. I assume you want to discuss the damage I caused." Richard frowned. "Why would you assume that?" Because I just resigned from a company that is already questioning my decisions. I don't question your decisions. I looked at him. Then why stop me? Because I've spent 6 months studying this company. I said nothing. Richard opened a folder. These financial systems were designed by you. Some of them. Most of the ones keeping the company stable. I stared at the reports. Victoria always said I was only handling paperwork. Richard shook his head. Victoria may say that. The numbers say something different. He turned another page. Your forecasting model prevented 3 major cash shortages. I swallowed. I didn't know investors noticed. We noticed. Then why didn't anyone say anything? Because your wife controlled the company. His answer hurt more than I expected. Richard continued. And there's another problem. Daniel? Yes. He slid another report toward me. Several investors noticed unusual movements connected to his department. How unusual? Large consulting payments. Change contracts. Money leaving accounts without clear business reasons. My hands tightened. Those are the documents Olivia gave me. Richard nodded. I've seen similar evidence. So you believe me? I believed the numbers before I believed anyone. I almost smiled. What do you want from me? Richard leaned forward. I am building a new financial firm. I looked at him. And I want you to join me. As what? Partner-level financial director. I laughed softly. You're serious? Completely. I just walked away from my marriage and my career. You walked away from one company. Don't confuse that with losing your career. I looked down. I don't feel like a partner. You will. I feel exhausted. Then rest. I feel broken. Then rebuild. His words stayed with me. Richard closed a folder and said, There's something else you should understand. What? If you join me, you won't be someone's husband on the payroll. You will be higher because of what you know. That sentence reached deeper than I expected. I spent years thinking my salary proved my value. Richard shook his head. Salary is a number, Ethan. Reputation is earned. I nodded slowly. For years, I let Victoria decide whether I was successful. And now I want to decide for myself. Richard smiled. Then you are ready. I understood my worth. I need time. Take it. I left his office and called my sister, Grace. She answered immediately. Are you okay? No. Do you want me to come over? Yes. An hour later, I sat across from her in my apartment. I told her everything. Grace listened without interrupting. Finally, she asked, What did Richard offer you? A senior position in his new firm. Are you taking it? I don't know. Why? Because everything I built was connected to Victoria. Grace shook her head. No, Ethan. You built things. Victoria didn't create your skills. She was my wife. She still is. That doesn't mean she owns your future. I looked away. I don't know who I am without her. Grace reached across the table. You spent years trying to become good enough for her. Maybe now you should become someone you respect. I felt my eyes burn. You really believe I can start again? I know you can. What if I fail? Then fail somewhere you chose for yourself. I laughed through the pain. You always know what to say. That's because you never listen. For the first time in days, I smiled. The next morning, I called Richard. I accept. He answered immediately. Good. I want one condition. Name it. I want everything legal and transparent. Richard laughed. I expected nothing less. Meanwhile, Victoria was celebrating. I learned later that she told Daniel, Ethan is finally gone. Now we can make this company stronger. Daniel replied, Without him, we can move faster. But within days, the confidence disappeared. A major client questioned an invoice. Then another client delayed payment. Cash flow tightened. I received my first call from Victoria at midnight. Ethan, we need to talk. What happened? Something is wrong with the numbers. You should ask Daniel. I did. And he doesn't know. I closed my eyes. What do you want from me? Come back. No. Ethan, please. I resigned. You can fix this. I already fixed enough. She became quiet. Are you really going to let me lose everything? I answered softly. You were willing to lose me. Then I ended the call. My phone rang again. I ignored it. A message appeared. Ethan, something is wrong. The numbers are collapsing. I stared at the screen. This time, I knew I wasn't going back. I refused to rescue Victoria. Every time my phone rang, I let it ring. I focused on Richard's firm instead. For the first time in years, people asked what I thought before making financial decisions. Richard reviewed my first proposal. "This is strong," he said. "You really think so? I wouldn't have hired you if I didn't." "I'm not used to hearing that." "Get used to it." His words slowly rebuilt something I had lost. Then Olivia called. "Ethan, we found more." "What did you find?" "Daniel has been moving company money through questionable contracts." "How much?" "Enough to hurt the company badly." I closed my eyes. "Send everything to me." "I will, but be careful." "I know." I gave the documents to Richard that afternoon. He studied them silently. "This could destroy Victoria." "I know. Do you want me to expose everything?" I hesitated. "Yes." Then I looked at the employee list attached to the report. "No." Richard looked surprised. "Why not?" "Because hundreds of employees could suffer for decisions they never made." "You still care about her?" "I care about people who don't deserve to lose their jobs." Richard nodded. "That is the difference between revenge and justice." I looked at the documents. "I could destroy her tomorrow." "Yes, but I don't want to become someone who enjoys destroying people." "Then we proceed carefully." I nodded. "Find the truth first. Punishment can wait." That night, Olivia called again. "You were right about Daniel." "What happened?" "He prepared documents to leave the company." "Without Victoria knowing?" "Yes." I felt a strange sadness. "Send me copies." "I already sent them." I opened the files and saw Daniel's planned exit agreement. He had protected himself before the company collapsed. Victoria had trusted him. I wondered how long it would take her to understand. The next morning, I received a call from Victoria. I watched her name appear on my screen. I didn't answer. She called again. Still, I stayed silent. Later, I learned she had confronted Daniel. I could almost hear her voice. "You're leaving?" "Yes." "After everything I did for you?" "You did it for yourself. You told me Ethan was the problem. He was the problem you wanted to believe in." "What does that mean?" "It means you couldn't accept that he was more important to the company than you wanted to admit. I trusted you, and I used that trust." "Why?" "Because your pride made it easy." I sat alone after reading Olivia's account of their confrontation. For months, I had wanted Victoria to feel the pain I felt. Now, that pain had arrived without me touching it. My phone rang again. "Victoria." I stared at the screen. I remembered her words. "I want a husband who matches the life I built." I remember my resignation letter. I remembered walking away. I pressed decline. Mason called moments later. "Was that Victoria?" "Yes." "Did you answer?" "No." "Good." "I don't feel good." "You don't have to." I thought revenge would make me happy. And it doesn't. Mason was quiet. "What do you want now?" "I want the truth." "That sounds healthier." "I want everyone responsible to face consequences." "And Victoria?" I took a slow breath. "I don't know. You don't have to decide today." He was right. I had spent too long making every decision around Victoria. Now I could choose my own path. That evening, Richard called. "Ethan, I received an official report." My heart tightened. "What kind of report?" "The auditors completed their review. And Daniel's financial fraud began before your resignation." I stood up. "Are you sure?" "Completely." "What about my signatures?" "Forged." I closed my eyes. "So I'm cleared." "You are completely cleared." For the first time since that terrible dinner, I felt my lungs fill properly. Richard continued. "Ethan, you were never the problem." I looked at the city lights outside my window. "No," I whispered. "I was just the person they needed to blame." Richard said, "Now the truth is coming." I stared at my phone. For once, I wasn't afraid of what came next. I asked, "What happens now?" "Tomorrow, the investors receive the report." "And Victoria?" "She will have to face the evidence." I sat down slowly. Part of me wants to call her. "Why?" "Because I want to hear her admit that I was right." Richard paused. "Ethan, don't make her confession the measure of your healing." His advice struck me. "You're right. You already know the truth." I looked at my resignation letter, still folded inside my desk drawer. I thought leaving meant losing everything. And now I think leaving saved me. Richard laughed softly. "That is the first thing you've said today that sounds completely free, Ethan." I smiled. I'm finally starting to believe it. I walked into the investor meeting expecting anger, but the room was strangely quiet. Richard pointed to an empty chair. "Sit down, Ethan." I looked around. "Where's Victoria?" She's coming. Has she lost control? Richard nodded. Most of it. And Daniel? Under investigation. I exhaled slowly. What about the employees? Protected. Olivia. She provided the evidence we needed. The door opened. I turned. Victoria walked inside. I almost didn't recognize her. The confidence was gone. Her shoulders were lowered, and her eyes looked tired. She looked at me. Ethan, can we talk privately? I stood. Okay. We entered a smaller conference room. Victoria closed the door. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, she said, I'm sorry. I stared at her. For what? For everything. I waited. She continued. I was cruel to you. Yes. I mocked your salary. Yes. I treated you like you were beneath me. Yes. She swallowed. I don't have an excuse. That surprised me. Then why did you do it? She sat down. Because I believed money determined a man's worth. I remained standing. And now I know how stupid I was. I looked away. You hurt me. I know. You embarrassed me in front of your executives. I know. You tried to remove me from the company. Her eyes filled with tears. I know. Why? She took a shaky breath. My father taught me something when I was young. What? He said successful people never depend on anyone. I said nothing. He told me needing someone meant giving them power over me. And you believed him? For years. She wiped her eyes. When you became important to me, I got scared. Scared of me. Scared of needing you. I finally sat down. So you pushed me away. Yes. You made me feel worthless. I know. You chose Daniel over me. I was wrong. I stared at her. You didn't just make a mistake, Victoria. You made a choice. She nodded. I know. Her voice broke. I thought if I made you smaller, I would feel bigger. I felt anger rise, but I kept it under control. And did it work? She shook her head. No. Why? Because after you left, I realized the company was full of systems I didn't understand without you. She looked at me, and I realized something worse. What? I had confused control with strength. I lowered my eyes. For years, I had wanted to hear those words. Now, they didn't feel like victory. Victoria whispered, Is there still a chance for us? I took a long breath. I loved you deeply. Past tense? I don't know. She began crying. I want another chance. Why? Because I finally understand what I lost. I looked at her. Love isn't enough. I know. Love cannot survive without respect. She covered her face. I respected your work. You respected what I could do for you. She lowered her hands. That isn't the same thing. No. I wish I had understood sooner. So do I. She looked at me through her tears. Do you hate me? I shook my head. No. Then forgive me. I can forgive you. Her face softened. But that doesn't mean I'm coming back. Her expression fell. I understand. I need to choose my own life now. You deserve that. I stood. I hope you find peace, Victoria. She nodded. I hope you find happiness, Ethan. I walked toward the door. Ethan. I turned. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. What is this? Something I should have given you months ago. I didn't take it immediately. What's inside? She held it toward me. Please open this only when you are ready to know why I really changed. I accepted the envelope. I'll decide when I'm ready. She nodded. That's fair. I left the room. Mason was waiting outside. He looked at me. How did it go? She apologized. And I forgave her. Mason studied my face. Are you going back? No. He nodded. Good. I frowned. Good. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I looked at the envelope in my hand. You're right. You can forgive someone and still choose yourself. I smiled faintly. For once, I think I'm finally doing that. We walked toward the elevator. I glanced back at Victoria's closed door. Once, I would have begged her to open it. Now, I didn't need to. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. Mason followed. You okay? I looked at the envelope. No. Then I smiled. But I'm getting there. The doors closed. I held the envelope tightly. Whatever was inside had the power to explain everything. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of the truth. I opened Victoria's envelope that night and found a letter written in her handwriting. Ethan, if you are reading this, I stopped lying to myself. I sat down. She wrote that months before our marriage began falling apart, her father had threatened to remove her from the company. He told me I had to prove I could run everything without depending on you. I stared at the page. She continued. Instead of telling you, I became obsessed with proving him right. I whispered, why didn't you tell me? The next paragraph answered me. Daniel convinced me that your influence made me look weak. I believed him because I was already afraid. I closed my eyes. The truth hurt, but it finally explained the fear behind her cruelty. I still held Victoria responsible for every choice she had made. Understanding her did not erase my pain, excuse her betrayal, or magically repair our marriage. It simply allowed me to stop carrying questions that had haunted me for months. I could finally separate her fear from my worth. The letter ended with one sentence. I am sorry I made you pay for my insecurity. I could forgive the woman who had been afraid, but I would not return to the life that fear had destroyed. That decision belonged to me alone. The next morning, I asked Victoria to meet me. She waited in a quiet park near our old office. When I arrived, she stood. Did you read it? Yes. Do you hate me? No. She looked surprised. You don't. I don't hate you anymore. She lowered her eyes. Then what do you feel? I feel sad. For us? For what we could have been. She nodded slowly. I wish I could change everything. You can't. I know. She took a breath. Will you come home? I looked at her for a long moment. No. Her eyes filled with tears. Why? Because the man who walked out of your office is gone. She looked down. What happened to him? I stopped asking you to tell me I was enough. She cried. I miss that man. I don't. She looked up. Why? Because that man spent his life trying to earn your approval. I continued. I have a new career now. I have confidence again. Richard made me realize something. What? My worth was never my paycheck. Victoria wiped her tears. I understand that now. I hope you do. Is there nothing I can do? You can learn from what happened. And you? I already have. She nodded through her tears. I accept your decision. I stood. I hope you find peace. I hope you find happiness. I walked away without looking back. My heart hurt, but my feet kept moving forward. I knew I was finally free. Months later, Richard called me into his office. Ethan, congratulations. I smiled. For what? You're a partner. I stared at him. You're serious? Completely. I shook his hand. I couldn't have done this without you. Richard smiled. You did the work. I only gave you the opportunity. I thought about the man who once measured himself by a salary. That man felt very far away. One afternoon, I visited my old company. I didn't go to hurt Victoria. I didn't go to celebrate her downfall. I went because I needed closure. The receptionist recognized me. Mr. Carter, it's good to see you. Thank you. Are you here to see Victoria? I paused. Yes. She called upstairs. A few minutes later, Victoria came down. She looked calmer than before. You came back. For a visit. She smiled sadly. How is your new firm? Growing. Richard told me you're a partner now. I am. I'm proud of you. I smiled. That means more than you know. She looked at me. I really am sorry. I know. And I finally understand something. What? You didn't need me to become successful. I nodded. No. I needed to believe that myself. She smiled through tears. I'm glad you finally do. I looked around the office where I had once sacrificed everything. Then I turned toward the door. Victoria called my name. Ethan. I stopped. Thank you for not destroying me when you could have. I looked back. I didn't win by destroying you. What did you win? I smiled. Myself. I walked outside into the afternoon light. I had lost a marriage, a company, and the man I used to be. But I had gained something no salary could buy. I had learned to value myself without asking anyone else for permission. And that was the victory I had been searching for all along. She once mocked me because of what I earned. In the end, I learned that my worth was never something she had the power to measure.